A stadium 2 years in the making in the Twin Ports had action for the first time today. Northern News Now's Jeffrey McClure heard from coaches, players, and community leaders to see what that stadium brings to the community.
UW Superior Chancellor Renée Wachter kicked off a ribbon-cutting ceremony Friday in front of students, alumni, and community members, celebrating a new hive for some Yellow Jacket athletics.
Together, we are making a lasting impression on the lives of countless students and generations to come, both on and off the field.
For everything they are doing on the field, the experience just received a massive boost as the $7.4 million Superior Choice Credit Union Stadium officially allowed players to put toe on turf.
It's about building a place that people can come together, the community can gather, and we'll see a lot more of that support from us and from UWS as we move forward.
A major part of that is building the young community as well, which is something many of the players are ready to be a part of.
Being from Superior and being someone who looked up to athletes in the area, I think being able to flip around and be that role model has been huge for me.
But for leaders with UWS, safety in the facilities is their main concern, and coaches believe they got it right with the new surfaces. The new turf comes from a leader in the industry, Sprint Turf, and is meant to reduce injuries on the track and play like grass on the field.
You can't really prevent things, but you want to try to reduce the occurrences. So this surface should help us with that greatly, and then let them showcase their talents on a world-class facility.
Even the things off the field bring high-level quality to the stadium, specifically the new Synovus Energy Fan Zone and video board.
I think the whole game day experience with the tailgate, pavilion, everything is really going to provide a pretty unique college atmosphere.
So for everyone in Superior, a new age of athletics is coming and many can't wait.
We're just really excited to get started and get running and jumping and throwing and all this stuff, so it's going to be a good time.
In Superior, Jeffrey McClure, Northern News Now.
Thank you, Jeffrey. And Daniel will have highlights from today's soccer game in just a little bit.